Hello, hello. I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights. And as always, thank you for joining us. For those of you that haven't yet, if you'll hit that subscribe button down in the corner, you won't miss a single episode. Now, today we've got Michele Dunaway. Gosh, romance, there it is. Good
hmm
morning, Michele.
Thank you.
Now, you are well-versed contemporary romance, kind of like Happy Ever Afters. I think that's basically what you write. Is that true?
hmm Yes, I write basically hometown sweet with a hint of spice. And I am traditionally published by Harlequin Enterprises, currently with their special edition line right now. And then I'm also indie published with my backlist books, which were former Harlequin Americans. So,
Okay, so we can find you all over the place then.
yes. And at my website, which is micheledunaway.com.
Now you've got, oh God, talk about a prolific writer. How many titles do you have? 35, 40, 50?
Not that many. In July, my 30th book with Harlequin Enterprises will publish. So traditionally published 33. Um, right now, I'm under contract also for another three. And then with there are two indie books that are just, I self-published those in a hockey series. So technically, I guess you could say that I've written 35.
35 books. And you've got some series of those. I know you got Love in the Valley,
hmm
Fortunes of Texas, the McDaniels, the Jacobsons,
hmm
Calendar Heroes, and
Yes.
River City Racers. What
hmm
else? I mean, these are series sets.
Okay, so the Love in the Valley series is the current series that's in print right now with Harlequin Special Edition. And it will finish this summer as a total of six books. And right now in bookstores until pretty much the end of the month is room for two more. And the Playboy Project will debut in July. I think it's about the end of July. The Fortunes of Texas is Harlequin's almost one of they have two continuity series. One is Montana Mavericks, the other is The Fortunes of Texas. The Fortunes of Texas has been going on for decades. And so I was asked to write one of their continuity books with The Fortunes of Texas. And so that'll be out this April. The Jacobsons is my own series that I did with Harlequin Americans. So I'm bringing those back out first through Bookview Cafe, which is bookviewcafe.com, and then they will go wide as well. And the River City Racers series is just a duet. It's two books, it's hockey books that I basically wrote during the pandemic when everything was shut down. And I love hockey. I've been around hockey my entire life. And so I just wanted to do something fun, and people were talking in my head. And so that's when I wrote those.
Do that. How do you accomplish so much? Let's start out with how long does it take you to write a book?
I can do very, very fast. I mean, for your viewers, this is what 92,000 words looks like. This is a single women's fiction that I'm working on that I need to prop up the sagging middle a little bit so that my agent can get it out on proposal and get it out to be sold. So that would be, a single title. The Harlequin Special Edition books, the Americans were as well, were 70,000 words. So I have three of those to write, and my next deadline is April 28th, and I have 8,000 words. So I will turn it in. I don't miss a deadline. So that kind of says 2 to 3 months per book is about what I give myself. So,
Okay, that
I
is
mean,
production.
writing. I have two other hobbies besides writing. Writing started as a hobby, now it's a business, but is baking. I love to bake and I love to travel. Otherwise, you'll hear people go, oh, I knit, or, I do cross stitch, or, I garden, or all those things. I don't do any of those things. I literally go from one job when I teach to the next job, which is writing. So this manuscript that I just showed you, I'm on chapter 7 of reading it over and editing hard copy and figuring out what I want to do, and so that I can, I edit on hard copy, just it's my process, just so that I'm able to, see where I can add things and what can, change up. It helps me do that. So yeah, this book is, I mean, if I get a good run at it, I can type 800 to 900 words an hour to 1,000 words. So really, and if I get a good run on a weekend, I can easily do 14,000, 15,000 words when the story is talking in my head.
Yeah, and that does take some doing. You have to sit.
Hmm.
It doesn't happen the first hour necessarily. It happens after you
No.
compile this thought, and then it starts to carry itself. At least that's
Hmm.
how it works for me.
Right.
But you're a professional at this, so you've got that process down pat.
Hmm.
Do you have like a pacing guide you work from, or is it just kind of flow out of your head the way it should go?
No, it just flows out of my head the way it should go. And I actually start at the beginning and write all the way to the end. So, I mean, I know some people like, oh, I have to write scene by scene or I do something. I write the entire, pretty much, 3, 4 chapters. I'll go back and revise them. And then I'll write to the middle and then I'll go back and revise. And then I'll write all the way to, I'll kind of sprint it all the way to the end in sort of a fast draft idea. I get the dialogue down. I write short. I'll go back and add everything. And then, it pretty much comes together. And it's very rare that I cut things. It's very rare that I throw stuff out at this point. It just does what it's supposed to do, I suppose.
Do you have the story pretty much worked out in your brain before you do this, or does it create itself as you go?
No, I mean, like for Harlequin, I'll sell on a blurb. Sometimes I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen until I actually get into the story. And then everything that's sort of going on in the world around me starts to seep in a little bit, or the ideas start coming as I'm thinking of things.
Okay. Now your processing method, you've got obviously got an agent and a publisher and things.
Mhm.
Is it a lot like the Hallmark version of working with that editor? Do they work that way?
If the manuscript needs revisions, then yes, you will get revisions or you will get areas that it does not work or something like that. Absolutely. Like my agent, like I said, I'm going through this women's fiction right now because, the middle sags a little bit. And I knew it did, but I wanted my agent's feedback on that
Hmm.
because she has really good feedback before then it goes to an editor, and that's what an editor says. So we want them to, like it enough and be strong enough that the editor can say, oh, I still might want some tweaks in XYZ, but I can still purchase this and then I can have the author make those changes.
Hmm.
So, and
So,
that's usually what happens. With Harlequin, I sell like on a multi-book contract. So a lot of those, the first book is 3 chapters and, a synopsis, but the next books are just blurbs on what I think I might be writing, which sometimes isn't what I write. It changes as the first story develops as to where I'm going with the second. So anyone who's thinking that they want to sell something, it really does need to be pretty clean
pretty
and
clean.
pretty solid. I mean, they will overlook some things, but at the same time, because a copy editor will get a hold of it. But at the same time, they're going to want something that's, solid and works. And I've
It,
judged enough contests sometimes where I'm just like, you got to go back and rethink this.
so they not only want a good story, they want it well produced before they take over and do the fine tuning of it. But
Exactly. They don't have tons of time. Now, if you're a celebrity, say if Serena Williams wants to write a book, I mean, it doesn't matter. They're going to work with her till the end of the earth. But, for the average Joe and so forth who's wanting to, go a traditional route in publishing, you're going to have to make sure it's highly polished, or there's enough of it, it's at 70, 80% where they can see the potential, that diamond in a rough, and know that, okay, we can work with
mhm,
this person.
mhm.
So.
So, Author in the Headlights is for readers and writers. There's a lot of newer writers here. How did you get your first agent, I suppose, before you went to a publisher?
Honestly, Harlequin didn't require having an agent at first. And so basically, I sold my first book to Harlequin as a result of an editor meeting at the Romance Writers of America National Conference. And then I don't think I got my agent after that, and, kept me so busy that, I mean, at one point I wrote 6 books for Harlequin in one year. So, then what happened was is that I took a lot of time off. And then honestly, I went through the same process everybody else does to get back with an agent, which was you query and you go into the trenches. And I have another author friend too, and she's got something like 35, 40 titles, and she's doing the same thing. I mean, there's some networking there as well, but at the same time, it's like, your authors today are also just as in the trenches as, everybody else when
All
they're
right.
querying. I
All
mean,
right. So
so,
there's the process. So all
right,
you out there that are writing and looking for, do it.
right.
That's just
Yeah,
how it happens.
one is like manuscriptwishlist.com, and one is also like mswl.com or something where it actually scans through um, that type of thing. And you can look at and obviously just, going and looking at agency publishing, how our agencies that, what are they looking for? What are their
Yeah.
authors
What
looking
are they
for?
looking for? Because you don't want to send
Mhm.
the wrong book to the wrong agency or
No,
publisher. It doesn't work. So why waste the time?
no. So most of them for those writers, but that's the process you're going to go through. I mean, my
Yeah.
daughter is writing a novel right now. It's not a romance at all or anything. And that's the process she's going to go through too.
I've got to start that again with my next series.
Hmm.
You just got to do that.
But the thing is that for people to know, you hear all those things of, oh, they want younger authors, or they want this, or they want that, and the answer is no, no, no. They want the best book that they can get sold, is what they really, really want, especially since
They're
there
there to
isn't
sell
really what,
books.
yes.
Absolutely.
So, in Harlequin, like anyone who's interested in romance and just Harlequin and their category lines, you can use Submittable. I mean, Harlequin is, again, a publisher that doesn't require an agent to sell to.
Yeah. All right. So get them done right
Mhm.
and then send them in. All
Right.
right.
In romance, and a lot of people don't give category a lot of, credit there. I mean, but, or even romance, which is one of the largest genres, and
It
money-making
does, it
genres,
sells.
it sells because everybody likes the happy ever after.
They do.
And the thing that's really interesting about romance is if you really think about it, when you're doing a mystery, you don't know who done it till the end. When you have romance, you already know exactly how it's going to end with the happily ever after or the happily for now before you even open page one. So you know what type of a read you're going to be getting, which means that it's actually harder to do as authors because it depends on our characters, it depends on our setting, it depends on our voice rather than just, I mean, you already know it's going to be like, we know what's going to happen at the end. You're gonna, it's like every Hallmark movie ever made.
Yep.
There's different heat levels, but there's going to be a kiss at the end. Everybody is like, yay. And that's so there is no,
So
you don't want to
you,
say suspense, but there is no surprises that are coming. But that's just it. As romance authors, we have to create those surprises. And it's so much harder to do rather than, suddenly you drop a bad guy in that you didn't know was, popping out of nowhere.
yeah, reach their expectations and you've
Mhm.
got a good customer.
Exactly.
That's right, because they'll be back. So you do have work in process.
Yes, I just went back under contract for a 3 book series. Well, the start of hopefully more books, but it'll start with 3 books called Legacy Canyon, which is basically going to take place in, the Amarillo Canyon, Texas area. Because I had visited there and I'm like, this will be cool for what I want to do. And then I'm starting a family sort of saga that'll be 3 books that'll come out in 2026 for Harlequin Special Edition.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned Bookview Cafe. Do you have other groups and things that you work with or have in the past found effective?
So, Bookview Cafe is a publishing cooperative of a bunch of authors that sort of work actually sort of as a publishing house. So, even though right now it's ebook only, for Bookview Cafe, a lot of the authors that are on there will also have paperbacks and different things that they might sell through other venues such as Amazon or Barnes and Noble. I use Bookview Cafe for all like my new backlist releases. And then I go wide, which means that once they're wide, they can be on Amazon, they can be on, barnesandnoble.com. And so authors can go direct, which means that they go directly to those sources, like, and upload each one. I use a service called Draft to Digital. And so, and
Hmm.
then they distribute those books out. And so the goal is eventually to get print on demand paperbacks for all of the backlists, but that's a project for perhaps the summer.
All right.
Mhm.
I want to thank you again so much for
No,
being with
thank
us,
you so
Michelle.
much.
It's been fun. It's been entertaining and educational. And for all those authors out there looking for that little tidbit of information to help them through, here you go. Yep. And for the rest of you, I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights, sponsored by DurmanPublishing.com.